So, welcome yogis, let's get it rolling. So start with a relatively wide stance, up on our feet. A little wider than your hips perhaps. Have your feet straight ahead or even very slightly turned out if that feels a lot better and more stable. Then we're going to bring the hands to the sides of the waist up above the hips. And use the position of the hands to pay particular attention to breathing sensations. So really feel right at all those points of contact along your hands what your torso does. How your sides expand. How your sides contract. Just how much breathing is going on in the side body. And without the ego part of your person taking over, without getting greedy, see if your breath can just get a little bigger. See if you can take in a little more. And see if you can excavate a little more. So as the inhales get bigger, unless we really change the ratio, the exhales are going to get longer. Deeper inhales, deeper and wider. And longer, slower, fuller exhales. Last couple rounds. We don't see it, so it's easy to forget, but we're not in space. This is air. This is a fluid. We're constantly interacting with it. It delivers us fuel. It delivers us sound. Last couple rounds. And then from here, everybody, we're simply going to drop the arms down and now start connecting with those big breaths still. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, press the arms down like a giant plunger. French press. If you spent some summers at home in front of the TV every once in a while in the early 1980s, you might remember the game show Press Your Luck and that big button that they pressed. No whammies. Alright. Some of you are going to be completely lost with that reference. Last couple like that. Most of you have practiced with me before and know this little movement pattern well. So to be clear, we're integrating that conscious, deep breathing on inhale with an arm raise, and a conscious, deliberate, slower exhale with a mindful press. Please try 2 more. Uno más. Oh, God, that feels good. It's so simple. Ooh, awesome, y'all. Okay, let's bring the feet a little closer together, and let's reach the arms out. So we're getting a little more narrow, we're getting a little more taut, we're getting even closer to our center with our legs, but we'll extend the arms out. Just 4 or 5 breaths here. Then just try little circles that just barely exceed the size of your shoulder. So if I pause, freeze frame the top of my lift, it's just like barely at shoulder height or higher. The bottom just barely at the lowest point of the shoulder. Just a little in front of it, just a little behind it. And then circle the opposite way. And we're going to relax the left arm behind. Might even be a little stretch. Do a peace sign. Right? Oh my goodness. Peace sign with the right arm. And you want to pull those fingers as far back as you can. So you're really trying to stretch. And then tilt your head away from that scene. This is probably a little bit intense. So to clarify, you've got a side bend for your head toward the down arm. You've got the reaching arm really reaching, but the wrist and the fingers pulling back. Release. Oh my gosh. And switch. Peace sign. Tilt the head. Back bend at the wrist, back bend at your fingers. It's likely gonna cook. One more time, side 1. Let the head go to the side, but maybe lean it back just a tiny bit more than round 1, just so you hit a slightly different spot along your neck. Peace sign with the fingers. Last time, second side. Oh my gosh. So outwardly reached arm, backwardly bent wrist and fingers. Side bend with your head, but lean a little bit backward. Oh. All right, and then let's release that. Let's go even wider than we've been so far. Bend the knees a little and roll the shoulders forward, upward, backward, downward. And you can be pretty loose with this guy if you want to mimic the shoulder movements throughout your spine. That's the way I'm demoing right now. So I'm basically doing a forward bend when the shoulders go forward. I'm trying to lift up as the shoulders go up. I'm literally back bending as the shoulders go backward, and I'm kind of like lowering as the shoulders go down. Oh. gosh, last couple. So we've got the widest stance we've had yet since we started. Pretty big full movements here that are in the shoulders but mimic throughout the spine. And then go the opposite direction. But still backward, upward, forward, downward. But we just switched to that orientation. Last couple. All right, and let's release that. Let's come to the narrowest stance we've done yet. Legs fully together. We'll come off one leg. And then we'll take the arms forward and turn the dials. So now we're like steadfastly centered, balanced on one foot only, and turning the dials almost like right where the shoulders would be out in front of you. Switch feet. I'm teetering a little bit, but try to stay right on that midline. Turn at any speed. One more time, leg one. And see if you can straighten the leg a little. One more time, leg two. Didn't mean to stop the arm, sorry. And straighten the leg. Awesome. And then let's release. Just a few big arm swings. You can go back to a wider stance. But on these first / last, we're not going to do very many, 20, 30 arm swings, let the hands converge when they get behind you. So it could just be a little tiny touch of the fingertips. It could be a clap, which you could obviously confirm audibly as well as haptically. Last few swings with a converging as you swing back. So it's like almost like a V. Now if you can, sometimes this is challenging depending on where your shoulders are tension-wise, catch the hands together behind your back. Sneak them over to the right side of your waist. Sneak them over to the left side of your waist. Right side, left side. Right side, left side. A couple times back and forth. Back to the center. Let's put a hinge in the hips and a little bend in the knees and cue the knees to go more outward, like you were pushing on a TheraBand that you can imagine wraps around your thighs. Hinge further. Now if there's any flexibility left in your shoulders, mine are about out of it, you can take the heels of the hands still together for this one and lift off your sacrum. Couple big breaths here. Now to return, set the fist back on your tail, come up from the hip hinge, release the arms, shake it out. And shake it out forward, and shake it out sideways, and shake it out downward, shake it out upward, and then get one leg shaking a little bit. You don't do this one as often, it actually feels amazing. you can shake down in your foot, shake all the way up into your hip. Oh man, switch legs. You're trying to dry off your leg without a towel. See if you can shake kind of everywhere. All right. Oh man, that feels good. All right, this is an oldie but goodie. We're going to turn the feet out slightly, and we're going to do a little tapping. So you're going to go along the inner lines of the legs, kind of from the inner ankle up. It's like a little vibratory, drumming, closed, but somehow kind of a soft, almost airy fist. And then go the outside, so up from the outer edge of your ankles, all the way up. Oh my God, that feels good. Then the back of the legs, calves, hamstrings, glutes. And then get your own low back. Start to stand. Maybe a little across the opposite shoulder. Or a little kneading on like shoulder. Or opposite, but sometimes that feels weird. And then lastly, a little drumming on the head. Woo! My hair's all gone. Alright. Well, it's not all gone, but okay. Okay. Oh my God, that feels good. Feel that for a moment. That combo of the shaking and the tapping on top of all the movements we'd already done. So good. All right, everybody. Let's do a couple roll downs. So you might want to arrange yourself at the back of your mat. So we're going to do a little walkout too. Start with your head. Roll it downward. Continue through your shoulder girdle and your upper back. Roll them forward and downward. Keep your legs nice and strong so your kneecaps are stable. But your legs aren't pushing backward. They're just neatly stacked. You continue through your mid-back. Rolling. Low back. Rolling. Maybe the sacrum. And then we'll probably hit some obstruction. You get a message. I'm not sure I can go much further. You might feel little end ranges of sensation in your neck, in your hamstrings, in your calf, in your back. Bend the knees now. Oh. And little by little, walk the hands forward until you're in a little plank position. Not a little one, a full plank, full-fledged plank. Strong, stable, stretched out, off the knees, plank, plank, plank. And then just go backward, put it all in reverse. The whole thing. So all the way back to here, all the way back to the knee bend, all the way back to the leg straight, all the way from sacrum through low back, remember it's in reverse, mid back, upper back, shoulders, still haven't done anything with the neck, and then finally neck, 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 skull. Oh my goodness, that feels good. Again, if you're against the wall, your back, from high to low, you would peel off the wall. Peel off the wall. No hurry on this one. You feel the last thing that would peel off the wall. Your hips are, sticking with the metaphor, they'd still be at the wall. But like everything else is just peeled off it. You add a little more knee bend. You really lean into just that full flexion release. And then you slowly walk out. Strong hands, strong arms, steady trunk. I mean, it's mobile, but there's got to be some steadiness because it's supporting some weight. And little by little, you quick little look at all fours, but you never quite touch the knees down. And then you make your way to a strong, stable, legitimate, full-fledged plank pose. Now this time we're going to keep the hands right where they are. And we're going to test out walking the feet. So take little steps. When you get to the point where toes touch wrists, put that bigger bend in the knees, drape your shoulders and your head. Start to straighten the legs a little more and slowly imagine making contact with that imaginary wall. First with your low back, then with your mid back, then with your upper back, then with your shoulders, then with your head. Oh, goodness. The roll down. So it's such a great progression. I've been teaching it for 20 years off and on in various forms. You can do it, 4 or 5 or 6 times. You can do it once or twice. You almost always want to do it fairly slowly and mindfully. You could add weight as a more advanced version, just more resistance. You can do it standing on a chair, right, holding weight, so you can go lower than like what the floor would normally be. That's kind of an advanced version. You can also, instead of just me cueing as though you were standing at a wall, you can actually go do it with your back against a wall. You can even hold something here and just try to slowly peel yourself off the wall, because then you'll really get the feedback that you are going in order. Anyway, I'm going to skip taking us to the wall right now, just giving you that little caveat. So let's move on, everybody. Hands behind the head. Yoga prisoner style. Squat. As low as you can, with heels grounded. And then come up. So we'll try about 10 to 15 of those guys. So squat down, and if that's as low as you can go, come up. Squat down, and if that's as low as you can go, come up. If you can go through Utkatasana all the way down to Malasana, the yogis just kind of divide the very bottom of the squat and the middle of the squat into 2 different names. Go for it. The jocks say, ass to grass. All right. So whatever your predilection is there. The fullest, deepest, lowest, strong version of a squat you can deal with. So you don't want to go down so low you can't return from it. Let's try 3 more. One more. And then on the last one, let's pause at the bottom. Shift the elbows inside the knees. And give it about 5 big breaths here. Down at the bottom of the squat. Now, if you feel like you really got everything in your body's going well to get these these low, deep squats, except one little element. Your heels keep popping up. You could just elevate your heels a tiny bit. So you can put your feet off the mat and your heels on the edge of the mat, or just kind of put a little blanket under your heels. But eventually, you probably want to get your calves and Achilles open enough that you can just go all the way down here with flat feet. So now we're going to take the hands backward. Yeah? We're just going to reach. So you want to reach one leg forward. Maybe just flirt with coming off the opposite arm. Okay, 2 more. 1 more. Awesome. And then let's sit. Okay? So as we sit, we're going to have the left leg bent, right leg straight, and we're going to use kind of like a little tripod, but mainly this guy, bent leg, back right arm, and just lift up. I think I've taught this one maybe once. So that would happen kind of fast. So I'm here, boom, up. It's a fairly quick move. All right, so here, whoosh, up, ready for action. Let's try the other side. Bam. So you got a bent leg. For mine, it's the right. Got kind of a non-working arm. Got a leg that does a lot of moving. Arm that does a lot of stabilizing. One more. Nice. All right, everybody. Hopefully you got up from the last one. Y'all ready? Cool. So we're going to do another little balancing pose here. So get on just your left foot. Have the right foot behind you. Maybe just a toe on the ground only. Lean everything very slightly forward. And then see if you can bring that foot all the way up off the ground. And catch hold of the foot. So it's kind of like that shoulder work from the beginning. Some balancing work we've sort of touched early on. Strong, powerful hips. Steady up the center. Some concentrated focus. And then see if you can hinge at the hips. And the leg just goes back like it's connected, which it is, connected to your hip. 2 more. So just a hip hinge, single leg. 1 more. See if you can sort it out while you're in there. Level hips, neutral spine. Oh man, and then come on up. Nice. New side. Sorry, I walked you through a little slower. Just make sure we've erased the Etch-a-Sketch. We're back to neutral. Take 1 foot behind you with just barely a toe on the ground. Then it's off the ground. And then it's bend that leg up as high as you can, and then help with the hands. They have to probably pull the leg up a little bit. And then only from down at the hips, not at the waist. Hinge, hinge. A couple times. Whew. Hip hinging. Single leg forward bending with a neutral spine. On that last one, see if you can hang out for a couple breaths. Sort it out. Oh, that's so good. And then come on up. And release. Oh, man. Next, everybody. We're going to take the left foot, move it a little more to the center. Take the right leg, hook it around. Rather than letting the right hip dump open, we're going to try to rotate that right hip, or the cross leg hip, whichever's on top for you. Rotate it in, so like you're wrapping like a little vine. Sit down in your hips a little bit. Couple big breaths. Okay, one more full breath here. Come out, unwind, new side. Wrap. Let the hip roll inward. Let your left half inhabit your right. Your right almost goes over to the left. They switch positions. You sit into the hips a little bit. Just focus on the legs. I mean, focus on your whole body, but those of you that have a sense of what's coming next, we'll save it for just a few moments. Awesome. Come out, unwrap. Nice. Next, cross the arms. And once they've crossed, without going crazy in your wrists, so keep them relatively neutral in relation to your forearms, bring your hands back toward each other. So I have like just the space for my face to sort of fit through. You can still see in the frame. Oh, but maybe I can close the gap and make a second wrap. So there's a twist at the elbows and potentially one at the hands. Not available to all parties. Might look more like this. Okay? Note which arm is on top. Release. Switch. New arm on top. New movement to kind of get the V shape and then start to close the V shape. If there's so much available flexibility, you can not only close, but you can kind of do one more little wrap up at the top. Add it. your shoulder blades spread. And then please release. All right. Let's put it all together, everybody. Garhyudasana. The eagle deity pose. So you're going to cross. Get close to your midline. Cross one leg on top. If you've got the double wrap, I cannot do it, at least right now at this moment. This foot behind the opposite calf. Kind of like when we tuck the wrists. Okay. Otherwise, it's just one wrap. Right leg on top. Left arm on top. Converge the wrists. Cross if you can. 5 breaths. Come out. Release. Last time. Second side. Cross with the legs. Single wrap at the hip, maybe a double wrap where foot comes behind calf. New leg on top. That equals new arm on top. Converge. The convergence might stop right here where they don't fully converge. It's just you've got the wrap at the elbows only. You might be able to get the wrap here. 5 concentrated breaths. You might use a drishti, a gazing spot. One steady spot out in the environment that just helps you keep pinpoint focus. When you're ready, you've had good concentrated 5 breaths. Up you come. Unwrap, unwrap. All right, everybody, one more move from up here. Let's take the legs relatively wide, the widest they've been yet this session, straddling the mat. Kind of back to one of our warm-ups. Take the hands behind the back. You can go closed, heels of hands, or open. Open or closed, open or closed. Open's easier. Closed is kind of a more challenging stretch. If you've got overly loose shoulders, probably lean into the closed. If your shoulders are already pretty tight, the open's probably fine. Hinge, and then stretch this thing forward. If you open up the heels of the hands, you'll have way more forward allowance. If you keep the heels of the hands closed, a much more challenging move. It feels like your range of motion is limited. I mean, to some degree it is. Right? That's pretty different. Now to get out of this pose, instead of coming all the way up, we're actually going to work our way down. Release the hands onto your back. Slide the hands down your legs onto your ankles. Bring the hands onto the floor and reach out through your breastbone. So to clarify, at this point, we're here. Long neutral spine. If the backs of the legs and the hips were against the wall, the pose would work out just the same. So they're basically on that line right now. Oh. Then from here, we're just going to walk and release down onto the belly. Oh, man. Extend one arm forward, superhero style. We're going to bend one leg, the opposite one, and then just pause here for a moment. So we're not grabbing the leg right now. Actually did that one, standing. Just feel the comfortable end range of motion without further limb assistance. So your leg has to go it alone. Now check this out before you put your head all the way down. This long arm, the superhero arm, I'm going to bend it as though I were going to grab the toe of the bent leg. Obviously I'm nowhere close, but... So please try. You're not trying to crank on this one hard. You're not trying to lift your whole thigh off the ground. You're just finding it fairly comfortable to me. In fact, it feels like super good end range of motion. Last couple breaths here. Oh my God, that feels so good. Please release that. Reset to like a brief neutral. Superhero the new arm. With leg power only, bend the leg, i.e. not reaching back to grab it for just this particular variation. Remember, you can be here with superhero arm for a little, but then we're on this side it's tighter. We are transitioning into this guy. Almost like you imagine, you know, a connection between your bent leg foot and your bent elbowed hand. I don't know, y'all, but for me at this moment, that is just feeling so delightful. So we're going to release. And two options. You can either go back to side one, and then back to side two. Or, softly, but it'll be at full stretch, but a gentle version. Do all four limbs. Maybe your hands actually wind up landing on your upper back. It's unlikely, but maybe your feet actually landing on your lower back, and they get pretty close together. Don't try to crank into it. We're at the very end of our movements here, but just find a comfortable edge. Last 4 or 5 breaths. right. Oh my gosh, that felt so good. Man. So, we're going to flip. Or maybe you need to transition up through all fours and then flip. Or just flip like a pancake from where you were. But we are going to come onto our back, everybody. Now, before we totally settle in, we're getting pretty darn close though. Just relax your arms along your side. Find a good, comfortable spot for your legs. But then about 10 or 12 times, here's pre-relaxation. Squeeze your glutes. Oh, you can even tighten your belly. And release. Try that about 8 or 10 more times. You squeeze the glutes, which is obvious, and it probably lifts you up a little bit because your glutes puff up in a good way. And then you squeeze your belly like someone were going to, drop a soccer ball from 20 feet up onto your belly. Not like panic time, just like, oh, I'd rather tighten up for that, moment of impact. Release. 8 more. Glutes, belly. Soften. Glutes, belly. Soften. Glutes, belly. Soften. 4 more. Three more. Two more. Last one. Now on this last one, keep your glutes and belly tight and breathe 5 times while the tension's still there. You might even come back to our very opening pose and feel the sides of your waist. Kind of contracted the whole time, but still expanding and contracting some, of course, as you breathe. But unlike the first pose that we opened with, we're holding a little layer of tension in there for 3 more breaths. Butt's strong, belly somewhat active, but still full breathing. It's actually kind of challenging to get all of that happening at the same time. Last 2 breaths. Now, completely and totally release the glutes, the belly, the legs, the arms. Relax your hands and your feet. Relax your elbows and your knees. Or maybe it's easier to just sense that you imagine relaxation now in your shoulders and your hips. You help to induce and reinforce feelings of relaxation in your trunk. And really like a key That helps to open the doorway to relaxation in meditation and corpse. And really a key, I think, that helps to unlock better sleep as well, at least as you transition into it. And that is relaxing your face. Relaxing the face. And we just did it, but if you needed one last meandering body scan, and soften anywhere you can. Until at some point soon you can just completely let go. bhavatu. Sahanao bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahe. Tejasvaye namitamasu. Ma vidvahavashaye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we be protected. May we be nourished. May our studies be effective. Let there be no animosity amongst us. Peace in you, peace in me, peace in nature, peace in all the forces. So please, everyone, if you have yet to come up from Shavasana, make your way into a comfortable seat. Gosh, that felt good. Thank you so much for connecting, ultimately, to your own body and psyche and mind, but virtually we do have a little Sangha. We've got other people that are connecting at the same time, and maybe in the future as well. So just a little shout out to all of us, and I thank you all for coming. Namaste.